Hola from Mexico, Jody here to talk about Pionex grid bots and why it is that I've started using them, what I'm testing out here. So let me just quickly run through a few key pointers, especially for those of us who did the plan and did our grid bots through a third-party service like 𝗧𝗵𝗲, or for those of us who moved on to 𝗃 because we were doing other things as well. Let's wind it back to Pionex because it's been here the whole time. And it's absolutely free because doing bots on an exchange, the exchange just wants to make its money, and it makes its money by trading fees. So if you have grid bots running, these guys actually have pretty low trading fees because it's based off pure volume. So this is an exchange that is focused primarily on bots, even though it does everything that an exchange normally does. But you'll see that the highlight is definitely towards the bot. So looking at the spot, the first thing that shows up is a trading bot, and then you've got spot trading. Looking at futures, first thing that shows up is a futures bot, and then you've got your futures trading. So the exchange itself is really sort of setting itself up to be, the focus, or the primary focus is on these automated bots. So let me just show you what has actually been happening with my bots that I've been running for, I think the longest one here is about 9 days. Let me just check on that. So we can click on detail here, and yeah, 9 days or nearly 10 days. So this particular bot was, it was up at a profit level of about $80 something the other day, and I didn't close it down because it's still totally within its range and it may as well just keep running. But some key differences about Pionex compared to third-party services that we've used in the past is that you're actually getting paid out a profit before the bot closes. So previously we were only ever able to realize our profit when the bot gets closed. Along the way with Pionex, they're actually paying that profit out. You'll see that there's a floating P&L that is still running here, but this profit here has been paid out and I can reinvest it back into the bot. Now, this particular bot, I don't know, I think it's only a few $100s. If I go back and look at this list, you'll see the amounts that are on here. So $300 on the Ondo bot, 0.1 of an ETH. So I started it when I think ETH was maybe 3.5. So, let's say it's a $350 bot, and Pengu actually only started with $200. That's interesting. So it's a $200 bot. I don't have a lot of money invested here, and, it's earning pretty cool. Like, there you go, actual amount, $200. Sorry, I missed seeing that. So yeah, it's giving all your data here, but this is really fascinating stuff, that these profits are being paid out and I can actually now go and reinvest it. Now, considering that's, whatever that is, probably, it tells you 6%, 6.5%, that's a reasonable amount to put back in, but maybe I'll wait until it gets up to 10% so I can, add it to my actual investment. Now, looking at the Ondo bot, it's only been running for 6 days or nearly 7 days, $300 investment, pretty nice return, nearly 20%. At one stage, I think this one was up to about $90 odd the other day, and I didn't take the profits then because I don't need to. But the one that I'm going to show you that I need to do something about is the next one down. But before we get there, again, it's actually paid out a profit already of $5.33, and it's got a floating P&L of $51. So if I close, what that basically means is if I close the bot right now, I will have these two added together. So it would be, over $55, not bad on a $300 investment for a 7-day period. Going down further, we've got a little notice here, and the reason that it's been out of range for as long as it has is I've just not had any time to sit down to film this tutorial to talk about it because, got a lot going on. Anyway, this one is, 9.5 days, almost 10 days, and it is called a CoinM futures bot. Now that means that I'm actually earning in ETH. So that's why you can't see an amount here in my profit because I've earned 11%. So far it's paid out 1%, and my floating P&L is 10%. So add those two together and I get my 11.62%. Now, this has not been earning for nearly 3 days, and I'll show you the actual grid on that in just a moment. But again, not a lot invested, $350, and I'm growing my Ethereum balance. So this was a real test for me because it means that I'm using the Ethereum that I have. So in future videos, I'm going to talk a lot more about this because it's not just Ethereum that you can be accumulating and earning. It's Bitcoin, of course, and whatever other 𝗀𝗏 is available. So I could probably have a look at that actually. If we go over here and we'll just see what ones are available. If we look at the 𝗀𝗏 futures grids and the list here, okay, we can earn Cardano, BNB. Let me just get rid of that. 𝗏𝗏, Sol, Sui, XRP. That's amazing. That's a big list of coins that you can be earning not USDT profits in, but actually growing your stash of those. So despite what Dan Holling said in his Midas method training, where he's like, accumulate Bitcoin. No, you're not accumulating Bitcoin in his Midas method training because there's a dollar cost average bot based off being Bitcoin and USDT on the right, which means you earn in USDT. So this is the way to do it. This is the way you can do it. And even though it's playing with futures, like these are all 3x, which means I've only put in the $300 on the Ondo bot, but it has placed the grid at being $900 worth. Same with the Pengu. I've only put $200 in, but it's placed the grid at being $600 worth. So that's where you can get these bigger profits. Yeah, I've got a lot to talk about. I'll do it all in future videos. I really just needed to get something to you today to say why it is that we're using Pionex. And, the Pionex is free, but back to ETH, let me show you why I've not been earning. So this particular bot setup doesn't have trailing up, which is something that we had with 𝗏𝗏, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't have it in other styles of bots, because it does. It's just on this particular one, I set my range to be, must have been 3.7 and up to 4.2 as the actual range. Now it's popped out of the range. So since the 9th, there you go, since the 9th, I've had more time out than I have had in because ETH has been absolutely pumping. So now I'm going to be able to change that. I'm just going to decide now if I'm going to do it here. May as well. Let's actually go and change that bot now. So if I scroll back down into the Ethereum and we'll click on detail, and here is more options. So you can adjust margin, release profit, add investment, reduce investment, edit price range. So that's what I'm going to do, is edit the price range. You've got different things here: compound, adjusting the leverage, modifying the bot name, that's fine. But there's a lot with regards to setting up a bot, and I'll show that in future videos. But right now I'm going to edit the price range because I just want to get this thing back in, working order. All right, so I had my lower limit set at 2,800. I'm actually going to move that up to 3,200, and I'm going to move this up to 4,600. And now it's going to give me a couple of choices. So click on the next step. Actually, I'll show you that again because I want to show you something important with regards to dealing with leverage bots, which is something we never used to have on 𝗏𝗏. I know that some exchanges used to do leverage coins, but that's really, really different. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, let's edit the price range again. I'm going to move that up to 3,200, and I'm going to move this up to 4,600. And I've got 200 grids. I'm just keeping that the same. So the current price is nearly $4,400. The current estimated liquidation price is nearly 23,000, but it'll move up to be nearly 2,800. So that is something we need to be aware of. And your liquidation price is because you can put a stop loss in way above that, so you never get your bot liquidated. But yeah, at this point in time, liquidation is just part of the game of having a leverage bot. I will explain that more, trust me. Okay, so here we go. Do not reinvest. Just keep the investment unchanged after the edit. That means that I would, keep that profit that's already been paid out. But that little bit that's already been paid out, I can reinvest. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to click on that now. and it's telling me all the details again. So I'm just going to click adopt, and then it's like a double check here, modify, yes, yep, we know that the established liquidation price is going to go up, that's fine. I can't see ETH going back down to that anytime soon. But with these types of bots, you're going to be doing a little bit more sort of manual checking in. You have to, because they're futures bots. So you can't just set and forget these things because they're actually being set up within a range period that fits the market conditions. So that's one of the reasons why I'm actually, suggesting that you use my referral link, not just because it's my referral link, but because I'll be able to share the bots that I set up and create with you. Because I'm using trading methodology in this. And, the reasons that the ranges are being set as they are, is, based off the bigger picture of your technical analysis. So rather than learning all that, I can explain that in future videos as we go along. But I'll just quickly show you another unique feature of these bots. Let me just look at anything here. So actually, let's look at XRP. I probably should have had this on earlier. Okay, so let me just run you through a couple of things here. As for setting the grid range, that is, with Pionex so far, I've found that using a little bit of technical analysis is the idea. And, the people that I follow as well, Pionex seems to be very hot at the moment. Lots of people talking about it. But, that's how the traders, like the traders that have an edge, are doing, is looking more at the actual technical analysis to decide the range. So XRP, if I look at a 4-hour chart, I'm just going to see if I can find a range here that works for me. So, okay, this is good. I can see that this is a trend line that is, still a bullish market, but we're looking for sort of where it started to, where it can keep going. And I'm not going to be just sitting and forgetting this bot. Like, I do want to keep an eye on it, and particularly because it's a futures, therefore a leverage bot, you definitely have to keep an eye on it. But I'm going to set the range as being sort of down here when things really started moving. Perhaps I could go as low as, say, 220, 2.2, probably even there. It's not so much about learning how to do this. I'll teach that more in future videos, but I'm going to have the bottom of my range at, say, 2.2 and the top of my range to allow for where it's going to. I'm probably going to go at about 420 on there. Oh. Helps if you key it in, right? Now, what's been working for me so far, and I haven't tested out anything else as yet, but I'm running with 200 grids. It's very different from Bitscap, and this, like each of these actual grid bots work slightly differently. And over time, as I get to know which one works best for different market seasons, I will let you know. But I'm going with the 200 grid bots. But the important thing to note down here, which is more relevant for those who did do the plan and understand, what their profit margins are, this is actually saying that on 200 grid bots, you're going to be earning between 0.19, so almost 0.2 to 0.4 profit per grid. So that's pretty good. I can go back and look and see what the average has been on the other bots, but again, just to get through this video, I'll quickly show you the key point that I wanted to mention here. I'm going to uncheck this box that says auto reserve, and we'll explain that another time as well. But getting here, the actual investment, I've only got what I've got at the moment, so I'm going to be putting it all in. Let me just put that in, see if it'll actually take. No, it needs $205. There you go. So I'm not going to be able to put this on. It's telling you what it needs for the amount of grid. So I could change the range there and, bring it back down and try and get it to the $155. But I don't think $155 is worth it anyway. But the key thing is this trigger price. You can actually set the bot to start when things get down to where you want it to be. So again, some technical analysis would help with this. But if you're wanting to, let's say it's just on a huge big run up, you're not wanting to start the bot when you know it's going to be coming back down. Funnily enough, right now is probably not a bad starting point. You could wait for a bit more of the pullback before it goes again, but it's just a handy thing to have. And again, I'll explain more about when it's important to have something like that. It's probably something I should have used on that ETH bot that I just restarted. But, again, just playing around with all the different settings that Pionex has, and yeah, it's pretty damn cool. So if I go back down here and just show you these things again, if I click on detail, so my Ondo bot has already paid out $5. It's currently got a floating P&L of 57, considering I only invested $300 not even 7 days ago. I think that's pretty incredible. That's a huge return. The other number that it's showing here is, the grid total annualized. It's the equivalent of having earned 1,110% in the year if I close this bot right down now, being that it's only been running for a week. And it's just got some other details there, how many trades it's done, the transactions. Actually, I'll just have a look at the transactions and we'll show you what's happening here. So there you go. It bought at 1.0096 and it sold at 10143. So between 0.24 and 0.65 profit per grid line. That's pretty cool. Let's have a look at the ETH one. See the detail there. Parameters 0.1 to 0.18 per grid line, and the Pengu parameters 0.23 to 0.58. So they're pretty good profit ranges per grid line. That's what it's aiming for. So the transactions again, buys at 0.0361, sells at 0.0363. Little tiny transactions all going through. They're making their money on these fees. This is a really smart exchange that says you don't need to pay for a subscription to another third-party platform. You can just use the one platform here, not pay anything other than your trading fees, which you're paying on all the other, even if you're using 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏 or 𝗏𝗏𝗏, plus their subscription. So I think it's really smart. They've been around a long time. There's no problem with this exchange. One thing to note is that doing your KYC, this has been verified as level 2, and that's only because we wanted to use the actual card, which is the Pionex card, and at the moment it is just a debit card. So we're using the bots to, not have a lot of money invested in them, but what they make, we can take the profit and, pay for our lifestyle or pay for our subscription fees at least by using the Pionex card. Now, if you're in the United States or any other restricted countries, you're not going to be able to get the card. Sorry to take that back away from you, but you can still use this exchange with the futures aspect, which is really what it's all about, and pretty much what I'm going to be talking about. I mean, those of us who went through the plan already know how to do spot trading bots, and nowhere near as fun and exciting as futures bots. But yes, in restricted countries, you can do this. You can sign up. Just do your KYC level 1, which means do not use your phone number because that's a dead giveaway. But yeah, definitely use your VPN, choose the country of the VPN that you're going to sign up with. Just do email and a 2FA, and then you can deposit USDT into here. Now, if all this is too advanced for you, I'll have more detailed videos showing how to do that in future. I just really wanted to get something out to you super quick so you can, see what it is that we're doing here. And yeah, it's early days, but lots of fun stuff to come. We've got the grid bots, the CoinM, the signal bots. Then, of course, you've got the Futures Moon, which actually does have the trailing up. That's the one that we're going to be playing with. The Bitcoin Futures Moon, the Ethereum Moon bot. It's unreal. Actually, if I just come over and show, I think it was on the spot that I saw so in the spot, you've got the DCA bot. So if you're wanting to do your Midas method you can actually do it through Pionex as well and just use the settings in there. So again, future details will come forth on how to do all this. They've got a lot of stuff in here. You know, you just got to look at this and say, yep, this is an exchange that wants to focus on bots and all sorts of automated trading. And yeah, it's a lot more fun watching your profits come in instead of just sitting there holding on to a coin doing nothing, or having it in a trade that, you know, goes against you. That's never fun either. But I'll be focusing more on the actual bot side of things, the grid bots again, and that's going to be focusing more on the trading. So we'll have more videos coming soon. Anyway, that's it for now, and I'll see you next time.